Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hey, Joe on Joe listeners, it's me, Joe Slepsky, and I'm back and you're back. This is the quarantine re-releases of our original tracks going back 4 years, and I hope you're enjoying these as much as I'm enjoying reliving them, warts and all. I think you can easily hear where I'm finding myself and finding what the show turned out to be, so I'm really happy to share these with you guys. Again, we pulled these back from behind the Patreon wall, and I wanted to make them available to everybody during this time to share and give and listen and have fun, especially because G.I. Joe's back on YouTube now. So, yeah, so I appreciate that. And you guys can always follow me at Joe on Joe Pod on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Let me know what you think of some of these early episodes, how terrible they are, or how funny they are, or how awful they are. And we're starting recording back up again, so reach out to me. Let me know, joeandjoepod@gmail.com. Let me know if you want to join me for an episode. I believe we're going to jump into G.I. Joe Extreme very, very soon. So without any further ado, here is the OG track from Joe on Joe 4 years ago. Enjoy.
You are listening to the Joe on Joe podcast, the only podcast where Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Welcome back to Joe on Joe. I'm Joe Slepsky, and I am thrilled this week to welcome a guest who is a friend of mine. He is a coworker of mine at Gamefly, Mr. Angel Castro.
Hello. Thank you, Joe, for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, Angel. So, Angel, you're from Anaheim,
This is true.
and you were born in 1988. Is this correct?
That is also true.
Am I betraying any youthful lies? Any
No.
like grinder lies or Tinder lies? Anything like that?
I don't think so. I think I've kept my lives pretty straight.
Okay. So, 88, the G.I. Joe, the show we're talking about, went off the air in 86.
Oh, so I did not see the show.
Well, you tell me. What did you grow up? Is that a Voltron shirt you're wearing?
No,
or?
this is a Power Rangers.
Oh, it's Power Rangers. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about you and the things that you're into.
Right.
So why don't you tell us what did you grow up with? What were your toys as a kid?
I had a bunch of Power Rangers, like action figures. I had this like remote control. Had a bunch of remote controlled cars, airplanes, but they were just like tethered, so they didn't really fly or anything.
Okay.
This is before the drones. But yeah, I grew up
The
watching
drones.
The drones.
This is before Obama seeded our land with drones.
Thanks, Obama. Jeez. But yeah, let's see. Power Rangers was a big TV show of mine.
Who was your favorite Ranger?
Billy, definitely Billy.
Oh, what color was Billy?
Blue.
Not to get racial about it, but what color was Billy?
He was a Smurf.
He was the Blue Ranger.
He was the Blue Ranger. Yeah.
Okay, and what? I'm 13 years older than you, and I hate the Power Rangers. They're garbage. It's to quote West Side Mike, it's a hot garbage show.
Okay.
I hate that show so much. So, what about it was fun for you?
I mean, I was just a child. I was in kindergarten.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
mean-
I didn't. That came off very attacking. I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean
Okay.
for you to defend your likes at the time. Because listen, we all liked stupid stuff.
Right.
I'm not. That's not.
Yeah.
But it really, you loved it. Like you liked it. You're still wearing a Power Rangers shirt, right? So something about it.
nostalgia
Yeah.
value.
Something about it's just, that's what this whole podcast is about. Me loving a cartoon that as we watch the show is, objectively not great. But it's I think it's better than most. But you know we're good with that. So I'm not looking for you to defend it. It's just for me, I missed that. It was a generation, at least one generation below me. And when I watched it with a little bit of age on me, I was like, this show sucks.
Right.
So what about it that spoke to you? Like what kind of elements made you attracted to it?
I think it was the fact that they had all these individual pieces to the whole Megazord thing, and so it was like the whole transformation of it and all the mechanical parts of it. Just like, I guess I was pretty nerdy as a kid, also.
Because you're a computer. Are you a computer engineer right now?
Scientist.
Or what's computer science?
My background's in computer science.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So why Billy the Blue Ranger? Was just
He
because
was the nerdier one.
So he was.
Yeah.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did they have like distinct enough personalities for you, or?
Well, I mean, since he was like the more techie guy, he was kind of. I guess I related more with him, and Kimberly was like, I guess, the cute one.
Who?
Kimberly, the Pink Ranger.
Oh, the Pink Ranger.
Yeah.
Did you have a crush on the Pink Ranger?
Of course I did. Who in their right mind would not, as a 5-year-old, think that she's pretty?
As an adult, who I know you've attended a few Comic-Cons and stuff like that, right? Like shows.
Yeah.
Have you seen her? Because I know the Rangers go to shows.
Who was it? I think Billy was at Frankenson's one time, and I didn't get a line for that.
For those of you not out here in California, Frankenson's is it's like a year-round Comic-Con that's open 2 days a week, and it's like a mall. It's like a comic book convention that's in like a mall area, and the stores set up shop and stay there all year long, and you can buy comics, you can buy toys, you can buy movie collectibles. Like it's like a mall comic shop, but it's only open 2 days a week.
Right. And my main reason for ever going there was really to just pick up Magic the Gathering cards.
Ooh, you're a Magic the Gathering guy.
Yeah, but I've put those days behind me. It's too much of a money sink for me now.
So G.I. Joe,
right?
Were you aware of it when you were a shorty then?
I'm going to say yes, because I also like the little army dudes, the little green men.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh. And then I don't know how, but I knew that G.I. Joe was a thing. I didn't really see it on television, but somehow I knew that G.I. Joe existed.
It's because I feel like you become aware of like stuff and brands and toys like that right around like kindergarten, like you're like 7, right. First grade kind of era, right? Mm-hmm. So for you, that would have been like 94, 95.
Right, yeah.
So G.I. Joe was kind of in a lull at that point. Mm-hmm. You know, like they were off the air for a few years. Because after this series ended in 86, there was another series that went, another production company picked it up, and it lasted, I think they call it 2 seasons, but they're actually terrible. But it went to like 88, 89. It kind of as a property, just the toys were doing it, and the comics were strong. But actually, the comics weren't that strong. The comics were canceled in 94. Yeah. So right around the time that you would hit that age is actually probably the low point of the 3 3/4 G.I. Joes.
Pretty much any time I would have gotten into it was right when it stopped being a thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because there weren't movies, there weren't. Literally, the comics were canceled. There have been very few G.I. Joe video games. Have you ever played any of them?
No, the closest thing I'd say would be Army Man, Toy Soldiers. Or something like that.
Yeah. There was a G.I. Joe game for the PlayStation 3.
Really?
Yeah, for the first movie.
Oh, okay.
It's not terrible, so I recommend, Mr. Angel, you throw that in your GameFly GameCube.
I will.
And you check it out. It's not terrible. It's for PS3. Do you have PS3?
Only PS3?
Oh, no, they probably did No, they did Xbox. Yeah.
Well, I recently acquired a PlayStation 3 since we were getting rid of some.
Yeah. So you should check it out. It's fun.
Okay.
And you get to, you play the movie characters.
Oh.
Snake Eyes and Scarlett. And,
okay.
Yeah. It's kind of neat. Duke.
So pretty much people we saw here.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Very much so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you should check it out.
I'll give it a go.
Awesome.
And then I will give you my experience with it, and we'll see.
Angel, where can we find you?
Oh, I'm on Instagram, the Angel Castrejon. That's Castrejon. Or on Snapchat. Snapchat. If you're on that, you can find me at Sushirito.
Sushirito?
Because I like sushi and I like burritos.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so fitting. And what kind of things do you put on your Instagram?
Instagram, it's usually just either me eating food, because that's what my generation does these days.
That's true.
We can't eat our food unless we take a picture of it.
You're food pornographers.
Right. And or if I'm up in the mountains, I'll take a picture of the mountain range or, the clouds.
Nice. Very gentle and soft kind of things. Yeah.
The complete opposite of me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, without further ado, let's get into it. This episode is called Cobra Stops the World, written by Steve Gerber, creator of Howard the Duck. And here we go.
So much going on. Not even once.
The glorious opening, Angel. Zartan, Trouble Bubbles, the Cobra Helicarrier, the Crimson Twins, Quick Kick, Snake Eyes, Destro. There really is. Have you ever seen any of these guys before?
Well, it just looks like I'm
that
watching
other guy's
those
name
Saturday morning cartoons.
Named after the movie.
From my childhood.
I'm not kidding. Yeah,
it's great.
Footloose.
I mean,
and
the detail's good.
Of course it was named after the movie.
Yeah. So first impressions on the art
yeah.
style of the cartoon.
Right, just like churn it out.
Like it's real solid, right? Like it's as the animation's kind of gotten a little dumber in later years. Like it's probably cheaper to make and probably technically better. Less mistakes and stuff, yeah. But there's something about the shadows and the details they used to put on these that just stand out. So this episode is called "Cobra Stops the World," and what we're seeing, when I say it starts with a bang, it starts with a bang. Like right away, we get Cobra Commander giving an ultimatum to the world. That's the first thing in this episode, and we see all over the world the Alaskan pipeline. We see freighters with oil. We see all these places with energy being destroyed by Cobra.
Exactly.
So the plan is Cobra's destroying our access to our fuel sources. Of course, unless we give them what they want.
Cobra's plan to stop the world.
We're going to be on a ticking timer because we're going to run out of gas.
Yeah, the rationing,
and we're not going to be able to find Cobra.
Governments of the world, the choice is yours. Surrender control of your nations to Cobra.
So Cobra's playing into the fuel. What's the word I'm thinking of? Like the fuel shortages of the 70s. Right, and this is written by Steve Gerber, who was Howard the Duck guy, who was a big part of the 70s, like consciousness movement. So a lot of his stuff is rooted in that, like. Wake up, America! Corporate, we're dependent on oil. We're dependent on corporations and just subvert the authority stuff. That's a lot of what his writing stuff. So I think this is. I feel
she has a
like in the writers' room when they were pitching this episode, this is one he was like, "Yeah, I want to do this."
And those tankers were the world's last hope.
So we're introduced to our cast of characters this episode. We got Scarlett, Duke, Ace. And they're all hustling to try to get a bead on where Cobra is.
I like a man who knows what he wants.
She has a minigun on a motorcycle. It's not a sidecar. It's a straight-up minigun.
You fellas catch Cobra's little TV show? Yeah, lousy acting, but the special effects weren't bad.
Can the comedy, Torpedo?
Now, these two, this is Deep Six and Torpedo, which strangely they disappear from the show. They're heavy up top, and then they just disappear from the rest of the episode.
Leave it to me and
Mr.
Ward
more or less. Yeah.
You have a peculiar sense of humor, mister.
So what we just saw was Deep Six showing some cool character stuff, and Deep Six is being a dick. Would you agree with that?
I like Deathstrow's costume
he's not being very
he's got going on. It's
Even
like,
now, the forces of
yeah,
Joe may
kind
be
of
moving
reminds
Back to the Cobra headquarters
maybe
where
Liberace
Destro
or
and Cobra
something, kind of
Commander
like,
always
very
they're always
flary.
squabbling, like constantly squabbling about the way the plan is going.
Search the globe before their fuel is gone.
Okay.
You like the open shirt look?
Too excited because there's going to be a lot of action here. So now,
Well, my friend Christian referred to him as Grace Jones. So Destro's always like the pragmatist, like, don't get too excited because there's going to be a lot of action here. So now we go to one of Cobra's bases that's helping this scheme go in place. It's set in the middle of the ocean, and Deep Six and Torpedo are attacking it in a shark, which the shark can go underwater or it can fly. Torpedo was the Joe's original water.
Well, I mean, in terms of flamboyantness
of
dress of attire,
and you could always tell like his costume's a little simpler.
Exposes
it's not like ornate, and it's just pretty much he's in a wetsuit and it's awesome. No, but Destro's he's part of the first wave too. For bad guys, yeah, right. Oh, right. You just like the open shirt. Yeah, well, I mean, you got to. And then Deep Six came with the shark toy.
Was that? Is this rated PG? Like, is this a PG?
Industrial, like strength underwater suit, so he could withstand heavy pressures. Not just a wetsuit. Like his is he can go further because he's basically in a pressurized can. And that was the most awkward noise we've just heard. It is PG. So Torpedo's getting torpedoes shot at him, right?
That's
Torpedo on
probably
torpedo,
Deathstroke's fault, 'cause since
and
supplied
he
it to them
dodges
anyway.
it and
So maybe he
shoots
planned on
an
that.
explosive bolt into the missile chamber, which ignites the other missiles.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really poor, like missile management on Cobras. Like he shouldn't be able to just shoot into the hole where the missiles are coming out and ignite everything. You know what?
I haven't gone
Good
diving.
point. We have Destro to blame for this. So now they're
They look-
underwater, and it's like
I
a
don't
scene
understand
out
why they
of,
just wait
was
for
it
them-
Thunderball, the James
or
Bond
wait
movie that was
for,
underwater a lot.
Yeah.
They're shooting a sonic, like a sonic inducer at him. Have you ever gone diving, Angel? Never gone diving?
Yeah, they just waited
Now, what
for
do you
him.
think of the eel costumes?
No, I have not.
It's kind of like the Three Stooges. They kind of line up and wait for Mo to hit him in the eyes. Yeah. Deep Six just cracked all the eels across their faceplates and shoot them off.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So have you've never gone scuba diving or anything like that? I've neither either. You know the symbol for I think it's for equality. It's like the blue square with the two yellow lines, like for like LGBT equality.
Today's
You know what
file
I'm talking
card
about?
feature is on Deep Six.
I'm
He's
not
the
kidding
diver
you.
and the
I
shark
thought-
driver.
This is back in Chicago.
His file name is Malcolm R.
when that
Willoughby.
started showing up on
His
people's
primary
cars.
military specialty is he's a diver.
We're going to hold
His
on
secondary
that story.
military
We'll go to
specialty is
commercial.
he's a small craft pilot / motorized, which makes sense as being the shark driver. His birthplace is Baltimore, Maryland. He's a grade PO2. He's got a master's diver's rating. Now, Deep Six never won any awards for being friendly. In fact, he became a diver so he could be alone. One of the youngest salvage divers to be certified on the Eastern Seaboard, he joined the Navy because he thought the civilian divers were, quote, too gregarious and forward. His hobbies include bottle cap collecting, solitaire, and the New York Times crossword puzzles. Over 50 Navy divers applied for the coveted final requirements, and 8 of them washed out in the practical application testing. Out of the 4 finalists, Deep Six could hold his breath the longest. Torpedo says, down in the depths where light doesn't reach and the water pressure can crush you like an eggshell, that's where Deep Six likes it. He can keep it. Now, Deep Six is, he's got a great suit that makes him look like an astronaut. And what's fun is in this episode that we're watching today, they take a note from his file card saying that he was not very friendly because he's kind of a jerk in this episode, but he's really good at what he does. So Malcolm R. Willoughby, Deep Six, thanks for everything you do. We salute you. When we left, Duke and Ace were in a Sky Striker getting shot at by, again, more missiles. There's like more missiles per capita in this episode than
Looks
anything.
like Michael Bay directed this or
It's
something.
absolutely a Michael Bay directed thing. And Duke and Ace are they're traveling to find another one of the bases because basically everyone's trying to put the pieces together. And Ace takes the Sky Striker down into a trench, and it's very trench run, very Star Wars. It's actually a lot like the Force Awakens trench, the Force Awakens Millennium Falcon.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Chasing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Totally similar to that, which is great. And you see a lot of parachutes.
Yes.
Because no one dies.
Of
So
course.
you always have parachutes. But Ace lives up to his name, and it's just doing a lot of fighting. So real quick, when I first started seeing those stickers, I don't know why, I don't know what clicked in my head at some point. I thought that meant you were certified as a scuba diver.
Oh, the blue square with the yellow bars.
Yes, that's what I thought it meant. So I'm living in Chicago, seeing all these scuba and I was living, right near Boys Town, so like you're getting a lot of socially forward, progressive thinking people. And I would see all these little symbols on people's cars, and I was like, you scuba dive, I get it. Like, congratulations, you learned
Right.
how to scuba dive. I don't care. Why are you telling me in your car? Like,
Right.
take the bumper sticker off. I don't give a shit that you scuba dive.
Right.
It's years I thought that. Fast forward, I'm with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and she pulls out her debit card to pay for something, and I look on it, and I go,
You know how to
"Do you
scuba dive?"
scuba dive? She looks at me and goes, what are you talking about? And I explained to her, I go, that means you scuba dive. Like, are you like a fan of, because she had just gotten back from Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, did you learn how to do, and I wasn't mocking it. I was being very much like, oh, did you go scuba diving in Hawaii? No. Why would you? Yeah, because that's not what that means.
Oh, Joe.
So Duke and Ace ran into Major Blood, who's the Australian mercenary.
Oh, right.
And now we have an old lady knocking on a young Chris Christopherson's door. But it turns out she's not just an old lady, is she, Angel?
Oh, she's definitely not.
Oh, she throws some kung fu because she is...
I'm sorry to bother you,
Scarlett.
Yes!
Scarlett. I remember because of the red hair.
Yes. Whips off the costume. So Scarlett and Duke were... When they first conceived all the toys and the shows and everything, those two were like the hero and heroine of the show. Like, they were the leads. Like the first miniseries, they're absolutely the stars of the show. The romance and all that stuff. Scarlett, by the way, right now is just whipping butt. She's kicking like 5 Cobra soldiers' butts in this safe house, and she falls into a trap door, unfortunately, because trap doors are going to trap door, Angel.
Exactly. They're always where you need them.
Yeah. Oh. But she saves herself and kicks the guy right in the face.
She don't need no man to save her.
No, she doesn't. She does. If you notice, the two dudes, Torpedo and Deep Six are paired up.
Right.
Ace and Duke are paired up. Who's Scarlett paired up with?
Her mind.
Nobody.
She's there with herself.
They're like, here's a motorcycle with a Gatling gun. Go get him, Tiger. Because Scarlett's bad ass.
I would not want to get on her bad side.
No. She in the books she was romantically paired with Snake Eyes, but she also became like a ninja.
Oh.
So she's really she's awesome. Scarlett she comes from, and it was on her file card too. She comes from like a family of a karate training family and stuff.
Okay, so that makes sense then.
So the Cobra Commander just announced another ultimatum. We cut back to the Joe's headquarters where that mystery character Sparks, who's only ever shows up on a couple episodes of the show and never had a toy, wasn't a real character, and who also likes to sit with his giant backpack in a chair.
His giant radio pack.
Have you ever sat in a chair with a regular backpack on?
It's uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable.
I couldn't imagine a whole radio communications set on your back.
It's terribly awkward. And yet, Sparks makes it happen. So we got Major Blood leading Ace and Duke through a jungle with these dudes who, do you recognize who they look just like? The Jovitos.
Jovitos.
From Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's been a long time
The
since
beginning of Raiders when Belloc has the ball rolling scene with Indy, and he comes out of the temple and Belloc's there and he steals the fertility idol. Yeah, and he's like, you could warn them if only you spoke Jovitos.
Yes.
Like that, like all those dudes, they look just like these guys.
Yes, you're right.
So I want to say Major Blood is related to Belloc, or as we call him, Beloche.
Beloche.
Oh, and they're about
Snake
to throw
pit.
them into a snake pit. And we go to commercial.
Here we are. Hold it right here.
So we got Cobra using Cobras to kill our Joes. Is that irony? Is that fitting? What is it?
Put him out of his misery.
I guess he's just aware. He's aware, probably, of the situation.
Now,
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
it's all a ruse, Angel.
Oh, they're escaping?
They're escaping. Shocker, they're escaping. Now, it makes you wonder why he didn't just put a bullet in his head. You know what I mean?
It's because they all have bad shots. They're like stormtroopers. Oh, what?
Boy, stop it long
Major
enough.
Blood just fell into the snake pit and he's holding on for his dear life. Meanwhile, Duke is not literally knocking the snot out of them. Did you see this?
I saw.
There was snot that flew out.
Yeah.
Yeah. They animated snot flying out of the faces of these Jovitos.
Here's Spark again.
So now you're a computer guy. What's Sparks doing?
It looks like he's just frying something with a torch.
And?
It doesn't really look like anything.
You look at me, he was soldering something or like...
I mean, it looked like a very precise flamethrower torch-looking thing.
Well, we know what he's trying. Ultimately, what they're trying to do is they're trying to pinpoint where the Cobra base is.
Right.
That's what Sparks' story. I mean, they're all working towards the same goal, but Sparks is like, I need to get this tracker built.
Right.
But in the meantime, apparently he's using a flamethrower on computer parts. Is that recommended?
as a computer science guy yourself, is that recommended to use a flamethrower?
In my professional opinion, I would say do not use a flamethrower on a computer or any electronics device.
Noted.
Yes.
Noted. Ace makes a break for one of the Cobra Rattlers. Now, the Rattlers, they're a VTOL airplane, so it means vertical takeoff and land. Yeah. They're awesome. They're based on that the Tank Buster, like the real actual airplanes. I always forget the name of them, but like they're designed to take out tanks. They just carry heavy bombs.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of what the U.S. Army uses them for. And Duke jumps in another plane. I don't know what kind of plane that is, and he just rides his plane right into the cave, and it just explodes, and it launches a cascade of explosions, blowing up every other plane in the area.
It was like the Joint Strike Fighter or something like that, or Joint something. I think it was like some plane that the Navy and the Air Force used.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, the Warthog. That's it. I think it's a Warthog. Okay. Yeah. So Ace circles back around in the Rattler, and he lands and picks up Duke so they can escape. Scarlett's made her way back to the Joe base, and Duke and Ace are waiting for instructions to find where the Cobra base is. And we got one more message from Cobra Commander, because that's the only way they're going to be able to trace him, right? If Cobra gave one ultimatum and just shut up, they'd never have found them. So Cobra Commander hits a button on a remote control, and we see video of all these oil tankers all over the world starting to explode because they're shooting these lasers through a satellite, and they're destroying these tankers. And now we go back to the G.I. Joe geography lessons.
Right.
They travel very far, very quickly, and you just have to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't, assuming they're based somewhere in America, they jump into Sky Strikers and they fly to the southern tip of South America, which, kudos to the Joes, we looked this up. The location is the Falkland Islands. It is accurate on the map they showed us.
It is, yeah.
But the Joes go there in these non-transport vehicles, and they get there just on like one, you know what I mean? Like on one tank of gas.
Yep.
So, it is what it is.
It's really efficient
It's
jet
a
engine. Yeah.
If you saw in that last scene, we had the hovercraft, which is like the G.I. Joe whale, and you saw a little bit of Roadblock. You saw a little bit of Cutter, the hovercraft's pilot.
Okay.
Yeah, those are all toys. Like, so these pretty much everything you're seeing here were toys that you could easily have. I had a ton of them. The things they didn't make a lot of, like they didn't do a lot of like Cobra bases. They did a terror drome later on, but like, you see how Cobra's in this like temple base like that. They never did anything like that.
Really?
The show just had a lot of. They would draw these really cool. Don't get me wrong, very cool looking Cobra, like giant Cobra head bases and all this cool stuff. But the toys, they never migrated them over to the toys.
What are those little things?
Those are his tanks, and that's the main battle tank that Cobra used. So if you were collecting, this is the whale, the hydro, what do you call it? Hydrofoil, not the hydrofoil, hovercraft.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got Roadblock, that looked like Grunt, and then there were a bunch of other grunts. So just like Cobra has dudes that are in blue and just the regular Cobra soldiers, there are generic G.I. Joes. And I like to think that they're just kind of like support dudes from other branches in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And, one day they graduate to being able to wear like a specialized outfit.
Gotcha.
So like maybe later Joes were at one point the green shirt Joes. They call them green shirts is actually, I think, the kind of the term in the comics. So it's just a lot of good fighting. Just a lot of missiles being blown about with enough time for all the Cobra guys to run away. Cutter, rock and roll. He's the heavy machine gunner. Scarlett parachutes onto the beach doing a nice little flip tumble. She meets up with her man, Duke. That's innuendo, if I've ever heard innuendo. Putting a thermal arrow through one of your engines, Angel.
This is a kid's show.
It is a kid's show. I'm just saying. You're a young, single man. Have you ever had a woman say that to you?
Not once, but if they did, I would now know what they mean.
That's very true. So the gang breaks in, Ace, Duke, and Scarlett, and they fire. Scarlett fires a missile that blows up Cobra's laser that they've been using to blow up all these ships all over the world. Duke smashes the receiver. Have you ever broken a remote control like that?
It won't work. It doesn't work unless you'd have to like take a sledgehammer or something.
That's true. Oh no, Cobra Commander. When Duke goes to grab him, Cobra Commander shoots all this smoke out of his mask.
Right.
And it's like mace. Like it. Goes into a coughing jag. The file card says that he has C4 explosives in his mask.
What?
Like if you try to open it and tamper it without his approval, like it'll explode. It's on his head.
Right. So
that means he's going to blow his own head off. I always felt like that was a little inappropriate.
That's the nuclear option.
It is the nuclear option. I'm so upset about you knowing who I am. I will kill myself. So here we go. The world is saved. Cobra and Destro get away. But Duke and Scarlett together again, except...
Is that more innuendo?
More innuendo. Steve Gerber is a genius. He passed away a couple years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Steve Gerber is and was a genius. Like, it's it. So that's it, Angel. You did it. Thoughts?
Well, there was a lot of things going on. I learned a lot. I learned about hot thermal rods or arrows or whatever.
Does this interest you? Does this make you want to watch more G.I. Joe?
I mean, I'll watch more G.I. Joe, but I still have to finish other things to watch.
Right, but if you saw it on streaming service, you might.
Oh, I definitely
might throw on an episode now because I want to
Yeah.
find out more about him.
Definitely.
Then I've done my job here. Well, Angel, thank you so much for being a guest on Joe and Joe.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
It's been my pleasure. And now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.